Morning, everyone.
Good
Welcome
morning.
to Cardano Q&A. Actually, I couldn't hear you then, Dinesh. Is your mic working?
Can you hear me now?
No, nothing.
Oh,
Have I got sound at this end?
oh, can you hear me now? Oh, Bluetooth. Is it Bluetooth?
As my speakers are working.
Bluetooth working now?
Morning, everyone.
Good morning again.
Try that for a third time. Welcome to Cardano.
Take two.
So we've got a packed day today. But first off, any questions from anybody? Just
I've heard about the ETF.
Yes, the Ethereum one. Is that what you mean?
Ethereum and altcoin ETF. I've heard altcoin ETF. I think the ADA one is mostly in Europe, I think it is. But
Yes,
it's something I heard yesterday from one of the YouTubes.
Yeah, I haven't looked at it deeply myself, but yeah, the rumor mill around ETFs is in full swing, which probably means that there's something imminent, which is quite exciting. As far as I know, the next dates or the next deadlines for approval of the Bitcoin ETFs is January 10th. So that'll be in the new year, and I think there's like 9 or 10 ETFs lined up for a decision to be made then. And I don't think that deadline can be deferred anymore by the SEC. So that'll be exciting. And certainly, yeah, now we've got BlackRock talking about Ethereum altcoin-based ETFs. Then there's a whole new realm of possibilities in terms of market action when those do get released. I don't know whether it's going to be a case of buy the rumor, sell the news. So we might see people buying in now, and certainly we've had a lot of good action in the Bitcoin space recent times. But yeah, that could all retrace if the actual news gets announced, or it might not be related to ETF action at all. It may just be actual boyishness in the market, and we may just carry on regardless. So hard to say. Either way, it's good news.
Yes.
So do interrupt me at any time, but I will start monologuing.
Yeah, I'll be switching the video off, and then just be watching live.
Cool. So we've had a good few days in the pool. Let's have a quick update on the state pool. So we're now sitting at 125 delegates, and I think a fortnight ago we were at 67. So we've had a good inflow of people, which is very cool. And our total stake is up to 1.6 million now. Wow. And this is primarily due to the Coinector ISPO or Fair ISO that we're in at the moment. So if you do stake with a pool from now for the next 3 months, I think, something like that, then you'll be eligible for the initial stake pool offering laid out by the Coinector project. And Coinector are a launchpad business. They help startup blockchain-based entities get their projects launched, get raise funding, etc. They have built on the Ergo chain and have now migrated well, not migrated, but additionally started to build on Cardano as well. So another Ergo Cardano crossover, which is very good to see. And certainly they're very welcome in the ecosystem, and they're doing a great job so far in terms of improving on decentralization, supporting small stake pools. And so, we're very grateful to them. Anybody new who has joined the pool, you're very welcome to join us on Friday mornings. If you're available at 9:30 UTC, I acknowledge some of you are in the States, so impossible hours for you. But do join if you can. Feel free to ask questions. Anything as rudimentary as you want. I'll help you get your wallet set up and the rest of it. Through to some of the stuff, sort of content we'll be looking at today. And if you just want to post a question and get it answered in these calls, then do post it on Discord, and I'll raise them when I can in these calls on Fridays and get you a personal answer on video at least. Great. So yes, that's the pool, all looking very rosy. In fact, as well, our block production has been doing very well recently. So let's have a quick look at that. We can see we minted one last night, and then the last epoch 447 we minted 3 blocks, which is really good. And we've just changed epoch again. In fact, we've got 3 blocks scheduled for this. So I do know that we have had 2 slot losses. So we've been in a competition with other staple operators in minting 2 blocks that were assigned to us. We both assigned them at the same slot number, and then it's just down to variable random functions as to who wins that battle. And we've lost out in 2 of them. So we've actually could have been up to 77 blocks now, but we're at 75, which is still very good. It's a nice round number, like our diamond anniversary or something, block anniversary. Good, that's a staple. So one of the questions that came in from new delegate was around Midnight Network. Have we got any insider news on that? I can say that I have submitted a request to join the Midnight testnet. We didn't get selected for the first tranche, but they are saying that they will be onboarding everybody who applied over time. So they started onboarding people to the testnet on the 13th. So that was on Monday, I think. And yeah, I don't know what the timeline is for including more people, but hopefully we'll start to we'll get a response there and get us involved in the Midnight project, because I see it as being a very promising partner blockchain to Cardano. It is built by the IOHK team, or a new team built within IHK probably. Something they've got a separate CEO who is been very engaged. He was at the Cardano summit in Dubai, and he even attended the Project Catalyst kickoff meeting for Fund 10. The town hall was on Wednesday night. And so yeah, just having another full and complete chain sitting as a partner to Cardano that's able to do things that Cardano can't is very exciting. And so there's a few bits in there that I haven't dived into deep, but some of the things I gleaned from it are that it will use a new consensus mechanism. It will have a settlement layer that's based around order book rather than UTXO. So some real drastic differences between Cardano and Midnight, but ultimately they will be interoperable. So bridges between the two will be very, very straightforward and available at launch, I imagine. And they do have very different functions in terms of Midnight being a privacy-based chain. So it will obfuscate transactions. You won't know who is sending how much where. And that's a very powerful feature to add to the blockchain, and particularly for businesses and enterprises who need to maintain an edge in their markets. You don't want to give all your financial transaction data over to your competitors, because there's a huge amount of insight that can be gleaned from that. One great example that was raised to me was that if you can see all the employee salary payments from one business to another, then that's ripe market for recruiters to go in, harvest the salary information, undercut the current employer, and sell those recruits to a new employer. And yeah, that's enough. There's enough recruitment spam in my life to know that that's a big problem. So we don't want to improve that situation for the recruitment side of things, the headhunting, the sniping side of things in large corporate HR departments. So that's one thing. This post here that I've got on screen is from Pi Lanningham from the Sunday Swap decentralized exchange. He's the lead dev on their team, really intelligent guy, OG in the space, been around a long time, and is turning into a really good educator in terms of conveying complex technology topics into readable or understandable short, succinct threads. So following him on Twitter is a good idea. He's got this great thread on Midnight, which is taught me more than anything else I've read so far. So that's a really good listen, a really good read. And I drop all these links into the Discord server, so you can pick them up anytime you want in your own time. But that's well worth a read. There is also a video from Charles Hutchinson that he did last night with an update. I haven't actually listened to it all yet myself, so I'll be getting a good plow into that today. But again, he is just really standing up to reassure the community, because there was lots of confusion, hesitation, surprise about Midnight, because there's been very little information released before, and suddenly it's all come at a flood. And actually, there's quite significant differences that people are now concerned that Charles has lost his enthusiasm for Cardano and is looking elsewhere. But he assures us that that is not the case, and that they are very unique products. And in fact, he's been talking about them all along. So it goes into his historic positions on some of the technology they've developed within IOG, like Minotaur, which is a multiple facet consensus layer. So instead of having just Ouroboros and their VRF based consensus or slot leader selection, you can actually have proof of work instead of proof of stake built within Minotaur. And you can also have proof of useful work, which is a very interesting thing. So that's one of the things that Midnight will be looking to engage, is actually having a proof of useful work mechanism, so that you can actually have a sort of fee market where you can lend out your compute power to actually carry out some useful task that somebody needs your compute power for. And that whole mechanism will be laced through with cryptography and actually be the sort of the block production slot leader selection process for reaching consensus on the Midnight blockchain. Minotaur is going to be an aggregator of those mechanisms. So you could have proof of stake, proof of work, proof of useful work, all working from this layer on the Midnight blockchain. And again, that's sort of more avenues for people who are offering infrastructure to the blockchain in Cardano already to actually have stake pools on Cardano, stake pools on Midnight, and even to offer out hardware for their proof of work implementations as well. So lots of opportunities, lots of exciting stuff. And again, innovation upon innovation upon innovation coming out of the IOG team. Really exciting to see. So I'll drop this link to Charles's video as well, and we can review that a bit more next week, perhaps. Good. Moving on, the bit that in last week's video where I did touch on Midnight, so I said my button, it is bookmarked at 44 minutes in, I think. So I'll drop a link to the place in the video that I do start to talk about Midnight last week. And anybody who wants to pick that up, that was one of the questions that came up this week as well, wants to pick that up, can take it from there. I don't know a lot at this point, so it's very, very rough. Perhaps the biggest takeaway is that the CEO of Midnight, Aran, I think his name is, he announced that there will be an airdrop of Dust token to every ADA holder at launch of their chain. So that's a really exciting thing, because effectively it will onboard all of the Cardano market, the Cardano, we are a market, I suppose, but Cardano community onto Midnight in some guise right from the off. That will sort of lend Midnight some kudos in terms of community, and also reward Cardano customers for showing faith in the Cardano network and receiving benefit for that in the Midnight Dust ecosystem. So that's going to be quite exciting. Dust is going to be the sort of the layer 1 coin on Midnight, utility coin. So moving on, another bit of really, really fascinating stuff has come up from one of the founding members of the Ethereum crew, the Ethereum structure. I don't know if he's ever was listed as a co-founder, but he was listed certainly as a strong confidant of the team, of the early board in Ethereum Foundation. And he is revealed or released as an NFT on the Ethereum blockchain. Was it Ethereum? Might not be, it might be Matic actually or something. He's released recordings of early conversations between him and Vitalik Buterin around the end of 2014, when the Ethereum Foundation was in real financial trouble. And it's eye-opening content, really fascinating content on the trials and tribulations of Ethereum in the early days, on the fragmentation of the team. This is just after Charles Hoskinson was ousted from the Ethereum founding group. And the opinions of people that have been voiced publicly have been extremely negative about Charles Hoskinson from that time. And this audio recording has been released, and a full transcript that really sheds far better light onto the reasons and causes of that fragmentation, the feelings of displeasure with Charles, and how a lot of that was based in, purely in emotion and not based on fact at all, and that Charles held himself, he comes out extremely well from this. He's shown to be a guy of high moral standing, and has never badmouthed Ethereum despite the treatment he had, and in fact was probably the one of the biggest assets that the Ethereum group had, and goes as far as to say that the other founders should have been kicked out. Charles and Vitalik should have carried on together, in the opinion of this I forget his name now, Jeremy or something. Stephen Nareov, who is a CEO, a founder of many companies, founded and sold businesses in Silicon Valley, an advisor to several successful startups. Really knows his stuff by the sound of it, and he was relied on heavily to restructure Ethereum at that time and give them a plan out of the state that we're in, and at 44 minutes in, there's a section that talks about Charles Hoskinson, and in fact encouraging Vitalik to invite Charles back in. Vitalik asking if that was even possible, and should he do that? And Stevens voices his opinion very strongly. So really encourage you to go and have a listen to that. It's fascinating stuff. Just this is now eons ago in terms of blockchain era, 2014. So things have moved on drastically from then. Ethereum's turned into a huge success, and Cardano and Charles are, in his own right, is entirely, huge success as well, and probably will outstrip Ethereum before long. So well worth a listen to Charles's healing video, I would call it. He's able to, release some angst from the past. He's vindicated by this recorded conversation, and certainly he opens the door back up to those early guys to collaborate and talk again, which is really nice to see. So fascinating listen. So I'll drop these links into the Discord server, and you can pick them up. This is a transcript of the recording as well, so if you're a reader rather than listener, you can go through and read it too. just as an indication of how well Charles comes off in this, there are something like 868 mentions of Charles in the conversation, 69 mentions of Charles in the conversation, and always in a good light. You know, there's some opinions on how he's a strong character, abrasive to some, but ultimately a guy who gets stuff done, acts morally, and has a real vision and ability to grow ecosystems. And you know, the fact that we can see the success in Cardano and now Midnight on the way, just is testament to that. So yeah, well worth it. It is a long conversation, nearly 3 hours of conversation. I think 2 hours 44. But if you can listen from anywhere, listen from 44 minutes in, 1 hour 48 minutes in. Sorry, that's where it a really crucial part about Charles and Vitalik comes in. So cool. So very cool. Right. Moving on, looking at Spectrum Finance. I believe I've touched on this project a little bit. Sorry, again, do interrupt me at any point if you get any questions, but yeah, I'll carry on. This is a team that, again, was building on Ergo and has now come over to create interoperability and crossover projects with Cardano blockchain. They have released their decentralized exchange, and as part of that, they are in a phase of liquidity bootstrapping. So if you are interested in an Ergo at all, you're interested in Cardano and teams that are building on both, then this could be a project you want to do some due diligence on. See if you think getting hold of their token is worthwhile. Their token is SPF. It is available for purchase or for acquiring now. You can delegate some of your ADA with another token pair into liquidity pools, which I've talked about before, and actually earn SPF tokens at a decent rate, as well as your liquidity rewards fee, portions of the fees that would be assigned to you for providing liquidity. A couple of the pools that I'm actually in on are this Optim finance-based one. So the Optim token paired with ADA, and that's getting about a 59% APR rate at the moment, which is very cool, as well as being part of the LBSP liquidity bootstrapping events that will actually give you SPF tokens on top of that as well. The token in and of itself is not extremely valuable currently, but looking at its tokenomics and getting hold of the quantity you can do from participating like this at this stage, I believe that the token will do extremely well long term if it follows the same pattern as other tokens of a similar liking before. So decentralized exchange tokens have done very well. Min, Milk, well, Milk's MusiSwap have got Milk and M Yield and M Voucher and yeah, a myriad of others Snow that all seem to be doing very well. They've also got Wing Riders token, Sunday Swaps token, a starter token, which I've talked about last week as well. All these are in varying degrees of lifetime and success, but some of them have done extremely well, and they'll do much better throughout the duration of this bull cycle that it looks like we're into now, which is great news. So yeah, do consider SPF if you are looking around at high risk, low availability tokens, and this is perhaps one to consider. There is a little frequently asked question about their SPF token, about this bootstrapping event, and you can educate yourself on it if you just want a short snapshot. And then there is a white paper as well, linked somewhere from the in fact, it's back on our Discord server already, so you can go back and look at that. Previous conversations in the Fluid Pool channel or the Hangout text channel will have references to it. So that is Spectrum Finance. we are into another good season on Cardano. We've had the summit, that's out the way now. People are a bit refreshed and come back up and ready for Catalyst Fund 11, which has launched this week. Also another tool released by, the other activity, large activity, scale activity that's going on in terms of governance on the Cardano blockchain as a whole is through the CIP 1694 white paper that's been, or Cardano improvement proposal that's been written and is being refined at the moment by various workshops, working groups. There is a new members-based organization that, is kind of the equivalent of the Ethereum Foundation to what the Ethereum Foundation is to Ethereum. This is now going to be the, we have the Cardano Foundation, obviously, which manages the treasury. We're now actually going to have a members-based organization that is made up from community members. They will end up having control of the keys that determine parameter changes to the chain. And so this early foray into governance, decentralized governance of a complete and full blockchain like Cardano is I don't know if it's ever been done successfully before. So this is a great innovation. It's looking promising, and certainly there's lots of voices and lots of heat around the topics. So this is a new tool, Cardano Ballot, released by the Cardano Foundation, developed by the Cardano Foundation, and is a way of gauging community opinion above and beyond the sort of members of the Intersect and the members-based organization, out to all ADA holders. And they're holding their first ballot. So if you are an ADA holder, and you have delegated to a stake pool, to any stake pool, you can now participate in voicing your opinion on a large scale through the Cardano ballot. The ballot will open for the first time as a sort of test, I'm going to call it, rather than an actual full ballot. They're trying to get it as a sort of sense, get a measure on this, on the opinions of the community around the CIP 1694 proposal, just to sort of get a temperature check on animosity through to love for 1694 as it stands, and in fact whether we continue with it or ditch it and start from scratch. I think that's very unlikely now. So far, a few Twitter polls have shown that people overall are pleased with the direction it's going. I don't think this ballot will be anything different, but this will be an on-chain ballot built by a tool from the Cardano Foundation themselves. There are community tools that would do a better job already, which is unfortunate that they're not using those, because this ballot's major controversial point is that it does not support hardware wallets. So if you have your holdings in hardware wallets, unfortunately, you can't participate in this ballot itself. You need to be using a hot wallet, which is going to be a very lopsided opinion from the community, because I would imagine that all the large scale holders, whales, certainly stake pool operators, will all be holding their ADA holdings, the majority of their other holdings. All the Cardano pledge probably is in either in hardware wallets or in air-gapped machines. So the chance of a whole swathe of the ADA participating in this ballot is unlikely, because no one's going to risk their pledge, moving it into a hot wallet just so they can participate in this ballot. There are solutions being bandied about by several people in the community. One I really liked was from Martin of Atada Pool. He suggested that we actually have or get anybody who does have a hardware wallet to recreate their use a seed phrase from their mainnet wallets to recreate a wallet on the pre-production test net, and then actually we carry out the ballot on there, because that would effectively be, we can then map that back to their actual mainnet holdings, so that would give us a full and fair opinion. Of course, there's some difficulties in there, and that's something you're talking about, a pre-production network, which is a whole different method of connecting to than the mainnet one. and you're likely to lose some of the less savvy portions of the community's opinion. So yeah, pros and cons, but innovation left, right, and center as always. So this ballot's going to be open from the 1st of December. You can participate in it. So I would encourage you to voice your opinion. You can just log on with any of the wallets you have. They cover a whole myriad of them. I just happen to have these 3 installed here. Eternal is the one I use most of the time, but of course you can use Lace and Yoroi and Viper Wallet and Giro and Typhon and Game Changer, and there's lots of wallets out there now. So take your pick, use your favorite, and get involved in the ballot. Only hot wallets supported, though, no hot hardware wallets. And the ballot will be a very straightforward question about gauging your opinion on 1694, whether you're pro it, whether you're against it, or you just want to abstain and not voice an opinion. So yeah, I'll be participating with the small hot wallets that I do have. I'm a bit upset that I can't vote with my full up. The hardware wallet upgrades is a technical limitation based on the parties involved. There's some tech that needs to be built out still for that to work. Particularly with Ledger, Trezor, you need to have a SIPS 30 innovation, which is another Cardano improvement proposal, to actually participate in this ballot, and that's not in that interface yet for the hardware wallets. So that is coming soon. But this first one will just be a test, and there'll be another one, probably designed the same in the new year. But they wanted to do some kind of temperature sensing before Christmas. So there we go, or before the end of this year. There's a white paper, some documentation on the ballot, what it's about, how to get involved, some detailed instructions. I'll drop these into the Discord server again, so you can have a look. But well worth checking out and getting your voice heard. I mentioned Project Catalyst, that is now in launch phase, and again, Catalyst is a IOG owned and run innovation fund at the moment. They effectively have given it to the community, but some of the majority of the decision makers in the architecture of the fund and the development of the technology are all based out of IOG and Charles Hossenson's personal pocket. They are where they are through heavy investment, and so they're well in the right to be able to decide its future. They are looking to move the management of it over into the community as well, but that's taking time and comes with risks. And so the votes last fund included 3 very large proposals that have all gone the way of that original Project Catalyst team. So the community has really voted confidence in them and their ability to go forward for the next iteration. So Fund 11, 12, and 13 will be under their auspices. And then it may be put up to a vote again after that. But at the moment, they've got the vote, they've got the power, they're making decisions around it, and they've brought in some really, really good decisions, I believe, that have come out of several community workshops run over the past few months while they were on hiatus. I participated in several of them, gauging opinions on easiest ways to improve Catalyst as it stands, because there are several flaws in it. One of the most exciting things is that in Fund 11, there will be no downvoting, which is huge. I saw downvoting as a problem as soon as I heard about it, because it just led to competitive voting, strategic voting, rather than actual true sensing of the people's opinions. So if you had a proposal in a certain category, or you were in favor of a proposal in a certain category, that you could just downvote the rest of them to more than double your vote power going towards those proposals that you do support. And that's a problem, and it's certainly evidenced extremely highly in Fund 10, and even in Fund 9. Fund 10 was definitive, though. Downvoting was a problem. huge amounts of downvotes compared to upvotes on all the smaller, more innovative, more risky, less well-known team developed projects. So that's just stifling innovation at that point. We really need to be getting funds to new blood with new ideas to actually drive the innovation engine. And so removing downvoting, I think will contribute to that significantly, which is great to see. They're changing the structuring. There's now going to be categories rather than challenges. Challenge teams have gone. Some of those entities, those guys, myself included, will probably move over into helping with onboarding proof of life of teams still, but it won't be a full-blown challenge team anymore. And there's going to be a limited number of proposals that are allowed into the fund. There will be a limit on the number of projects that you can be proposing on, a maximum of 5 for a proposer or co-proposer. So if somebody puts you down as a co-proposer after you've done your initial 5, then those won't be allowed into the fund 11. So yeah, managing co-proposers and proposers will be done on a far more vigorous scale this time, which is good, because there are people. I was on several proposals, more than 5 certainly at various points in the funds. I've not received funding yet, but that was just noise in amongst it all. Really, we don't need that. We need it a bit more clear. Also, if you have secured funding in the past, up to and including Fund 7, and have not delivered and completed and signed off on those proposals yet, as in the delivery of those proposals, then you won't be allowed to submit in these new funds yet. So you can't propose in Fund 11 if you haven't completed your proposal from Fund 7, your successful proposal from Fund 7, which I think is a good thing as well, just to try and keep the money in the hands of people who are building new teams. It'll give new teams opportunities to get involved where long-term projects haven't managed to deliver yet, without stymieing them at all, hopefully, and encouraging actual finishing off of these projects as well, which is a good thing. The handling of leftover funds from categories that don't use up all their funds because of the way the mechanism works. So you'll take if you have like 5 large projects, there'll be some money left over because the next largest winning project couldn't fit in, and so that would traditionally just go to the smaller projects after that point. But actually some of those leftovers are now going to move out of some of the categories and into others to really again drive the money down towards the edges, towards the grassroots, towards the smaller participants in some of these categories. The categories will be budget bound, so some of them are capped at 100,000 maximum award in the proposal. Some categories will be capped at 300,000 and some at 750,000. So that's going to really help to move larger proposals into the largest use cases, largest categories, and the smaller ones into the smaller, so that there's more even distribution of funds throughout that sort of swathe of the sizing of projects, which I think is a really good thing as well. Also in Fund 11, again, it's a $50 million ADA budget. And of course, as we're into a bull cycle, then the budget could actually go further than the current value of it now, because if you're delivering in 6 months' time, ADA will probably have a much different valuation to it does today. So, yeah, that's just a thing we're going to have to keep dancing around for the next long while. The timeline is it was announced on November 3rd. The fund launched on the 15th. So proposals are open. If you have a proposal, want to submit one, you can get it in. You've got until December 7th to finalize your proposals. I think actually submission will close on the 30th, and then you've got a week to finalize them, to refine them. So you can make changes up until the 7th, but you have to get your proposals in by the 30th of November. And then we'll go into the community review, then into the voting and results and distribution of funds. If you are participating as a voter, so hopefully that's all of you guys, you have to have registered by November 23rd. Again, you don't have to re-register if you voted for Fund 10. The tech stack was updated by then for Fund 10, so you don't need to re-register. The snapshot for your voting power will be taken on January 15th, so next year, and then voting will start on January 25th. So there's a bit of a longer period this time because it's running over the Christmas New Year period. But yeah, that is the clue. I'll drop links to a blog post roughly going through what I've just said for Fund 11, but from the words of an IOG guy himself. You can look at the launch guide. So if you're looking at proposing, this will be particularly useful for you. Really good synopsis on everything you need to know. And you can also read up more in depth on the rules and submitting a proposal processes in here. So all these links will be on the Discord server. Moving on, there is a bit of activity that I'd like you all to get involved in. So this is a call to action. Pi Lanningham, who I spoke about right at the start, this guy, he is lead developer at SundaySwap. He has a research project going on at the moment. The link is research.sunday.fi, and it's a survey that anybody who's participated in buying into new tokens, new projects, getting some ideas from you on that process and how it's been for you, whether it's been successful, whether it's been painful, whether it's been emotionally draining, and so on and so forth. So that will be a really good thing to do, because if we gather this sort of data about people's experiences of investing in projects and in blockchain as a whole at this point, then that means that we can forge out a smoother path for the rest of the crypto uninitiated that are on their way into the ecosystem, and improving it for everybody in the process is a very good thing. But all those improvements aren't really going to be worth much unless they're based on data, on real opinion from real people using them. So you guys are key to forging that decision-making process. So I'll drop again this link to the Discord. If you could jump down and fill that in, then we as a community we're very grateful, Pi in particular. So yeah, do jump in. One other thing that I should have touched on right at the beginning was that we are part of this fair ISBO. So there is a selection of I think it was initially 10 pools that were members of the ISPO, and the rules that they've done, again, Connector, the guys who are building out this launch pad for Cardano, they have an Ergo pad for launching project on Ergo. Now they're going to have the Cardano launch pad as well, and they're encouraging decentralization by, instead of starting up their own stake pools to raise funds and distribute their token, they're actually distributing their token through these stake pools, these existing community stake pools. We applied and were accepted onto this as one of these initial 10 pools, which was really cool. And our delegation has jumped a couple 100,000 off the back of that, joining this alone. As a pool reaches 5 million in stake, I don't think any of them had to begin with, then they will add in another pool from the reserve list. And so far we've had 1, 2, 3, 4 of those pools go above the 5 million delegation layer. So that's exciting. But if you look at these pools, the majority of the ones that have gathered stake most quickly, they have made a change to their parameters, which has now been enabled 2 epochs ago. I'm a bit slow to jump into it. I did mean to talk about it last week, but it's an opportunity for you as delegators to Fluid Pool, if you are delegating, to voice an opinion. I intend to, unless told otherwise, to drop the fixed fee for the pool from 340 ADA per epoch. So if you mint a block, then 340 of that mint block or several, the first 340 ADA in rewards goes to pay for the hardware costs of running the stake pool. That it gives small stake pools a disadvantage in comparison to larger stake pools. It's a small disadvantage, but it is a disadvantage in that 340 ADA is carved off. You go straight to the stake pool operator rather than going towards everybody as a whole. And so if you are in a large stake pool that's minting, anywhere up to 64 blocks per epoch, then you're, in which case that 340 ADA is not really denting your generation of blocks in the scheme of things. For a small stake pool, that's a much larger chunk of the takings, because you're not likely to mint blocks every epoch, and so if 340 of it is going out every epoch, then that's a slight disadvantage. I haven't done the maths on the actual implications for a delegator, but yeah, you're losing a few ADA over the year with a small pool than you would with a large pool. So I plan to reduce this to 170 because that's now the lower limit. I will keep our margin at 2.9%, which is higher than most pools already, because I have this mission approach. I want to be giving to charity, and we've given a couple of $1,000 to an Ethiopian school for their internet and ICT access so far. I want to continue that work, and to do so, that's why our margin is higher than some pools. So a lot of these pools, small pools, start out with 0% or 1% margin, just to make them look as attractive as possible for delegators. In reality, that margin impact is much smaller even than the fixed fee. So actually reducing the fixed fee and keeping your margin at a sensible level is what most people are doing now. So I intend to drop the fixed fee to 170, and I will keep the margin at 2.9 because I'd already factored in a change like this. But that will mean that potentially will be a bit more attractive for delegators through this ISO. And so we're more likely to get into that sort of saturation point of 5 million ADA that they've set, which would be a really healthy state for the pool to be in. And we'd certainly be minting more blocks at 5 million than we do at 1.6. So getting as much delegators on board is important for us in terms of long-term sustainability, and yeah, these parameters do factor into people's decision making, particularly in ISOs and things like that, because you've got section 10 pools, you may not know anything about any of them, and you're in it purely for gaining hold of that CNCT token, in this case the native token that's being distributed by the ISO. And so you're in it for an economic means rather than anything else. And so you're picking a pool probably on these parameters alone, not looking at their ethos, the operator, how what their behavior is in the ecosystem. So the parameters then are more important than the trust in the operator. Is kind of the opinion of most people, I think. So that's a decision factor, and I think that reducing to 170 will help us. It was what I intend to do all anyway. So unless you pipe up this week on Discord and say don't do it, I will be changing the that fixed fee to 170 this epoch. So in 5 days' time, it'll reduce that down to 170 on all the blockchain explorers. Good. So the last thing that I had on my list of things to talk about is I've talked recently about the book token, which is a token launch from the book.io team. Book.io is an NFT project that is releasing ebooks on the blockchain. So effectively, you can buy your ebooks now and actually hold and actually own them. So you will be the custodian of your tokens rather than anybody else. So if you have a Kindle subscription and you choose some ebooks to read, then at any point, if you stop paying your Amazon fee, they can cut you off from your book collection, and you own none of those books. You just have access to them, paying for access. It's like a subscription. Instead, with these NFT based books, you actually will own them. You can hold them forever. You can sell them on. The authors can gain royalties from secondary market sales. It's a whole ecosystem that will correct and review some of the problems with the publishing industry, making it easier for people to launch their own books, for budding authors to do well, and for the creators to actually retain the bulk of the revenues from their books. The book.io team are started on Cardano, they're now multi-chain. They're doing extremely well, gaining really high profile publishing houses and authors, including Mark Cuban, who launched his book on book.io. And so, but a thriving ecosystem. There was a token sale of book token earlier that I mentioned to you, and they had that innovative price increasing over time, over the duration of the sale period. So if you got in early, you got it cheaper. If you got in later, when you were more confident because there was everybody rushing in to buy, then you had to pay a bit more for it. That's now ended. What they have done is said anybody that holds a Gutenberg Bible, which was the first book that they published on, first NFT they published on chain, you can participate in a book token airdrop. So anybody who holds a book token, a Gutenberg Bible in their wallet, will be airdropped book tokens over the next 6 months, I think it is. So that's opened up opportunities. I bought a Gutenberg. I didn't mint one right at the beginning, and I wanted to, and then I thought it was a bit pricey at the time. Didn't do it, and then came back to it a bit later, and then didn't have my wallet set up right, and it never happened. Dawdled, one of those things just went under the radar. So in the end, I ended up buying a Gutenberg from JPEG Store just before the launch of the book token, because they'd hinted about it being a good thing to have if you were going to be buying into the book token. So anybody that holds one now can actually earn free book token. So that could be something you want to look into. The book token has done well since launch. It's now sitting 11th in the Tap Tools charts for active tokens on Cardano. You can see its price action since launch has been pretty healthy. Let's do day. Too much. So of course the price pumped at launch and dropped back down, but actually since then it's been growing slowly. So a pretty healthy looking curve for a startup token. It's very early days still, so do your own due diligence, of course. But from a low at launch to high is 267%, and we're now still sitting. We're in a bit of a retracement at the moment. We're still sitting 160% since launch. So yeah, you can what's the word? draw a line out from that, along with the sort of bull market that would look very healthy long term. So if you do want to consider the book token, do your due diligence. None of this is advice, just my opinion and my behavior. I'll only talk about tokens that I really rate and most likely would or am already invested in myself. That's only really where I can have an opinion is if I've done some research myself. But yeah, for example, I've got the Iliad minting at the moment, which is a classic book outside of copyright. So you can get hold of a whole load of classics. And their innovation with these is that you're getting a really nice artwork on the covers, and each artwork, well, most of them are pretty unique. So you won't get the same book cover on any of their books each time, which adds, in the NFT space is already a factor that's worth making them viable. But the fact that they are books as well is another thing. There are also some real publications like this SBF book, Climate Optimism and Broadside by Victor Meldrew and Charlie Stratford. One of note that I was interested in, we've got some technical books here by Siraj, who's a great Twitter guy. I referred to in the past is Mark Cuban's How to Win at the Sport of Business book. And one that I saw that I'm interested in, New Thinking by Cold Fusion. Dagogo Altrade is a YouTuber who does some really cool videos. He looks into tech, AI, blockchain, graphic illustrations, all this sort of stuff, and presents really nicely put together videos on it. He's also a music producer, and yeah, he's just a pleasure to listen to, pleasure to watch. Just does some really nice video work on YouTube, and he's got this book coming out on in fact it's sold out now, too slow again, that was available for 79 ADA or 49 if you were if you got some status in the book community. But yeah, that would have been a good one to get hold of. So yeah, there are real authors doing real book launches here already, and there are publishing houses onboarding over the next while that will bring millions of books into the blockchain space. So you will be able to, find your latest authors that you are looking to read, and you do collect and read already. There'll be ways to just bring them into your wallet, and then read them through the mobile book e-reader, which is really nice, really cool to actually know you own a book again, without having to fill up your house with dead trees. Yeah, so do have a look at that. And the associated thing of interest that I'm trying to get to is that actually, if you missed out on the opportunity of buying a Gutenberg Bible, and you believe that the prices on JPEG Store are now out of your reach, reasonable reach, then what you could do, if we have a quick look, the Gutenberg Bible, yeah, it's got its floor prices 1,428 now, which is a significant investment opportunity, as well as it's cash out of your, or portion of your portfolio potentially. Considering these books will probably continue to go up in value certainly for the next 6 months, while they're also part of the vesting schedule for the book token itself, and the price of ADA rising all the time. You can imagine these Bibles being actually worth thousands of pounds before long, and certainly some of the higher pricing on them is a bit being insane already. 5,000. There's one on here, 300,000 ADA. So yeah, some people are very optimistic about the price of these books. But if you have a Gutenberg Bible, then you will receive free book tokens, is what I'm trying to get at. And perhaps if you don't want to spend 1,400 ADA on buying the NFT itself, you could rent the NFT. And so this platform, Fluid Tokens, again, which I've touched on in the past. They are not affiliated with Fluid Pool at all, but I do like them. I've talked about them for a while. They have a mechanism for lending and borrowing NFTs in return for ADA or other native tokens. So you could effectively, if you own a Gutenberg Bible, you're not too interested in the book token, you could put your book up for collateral now in return for having ADA in your wallet instead. So if you think there's another investment opportunity in the space that's better than book token itself, you could say, okay, I'll swap my, I'll lend out my Gutenberg Bible for now, and get some ADA into my wallet that I can then use to buy opt-in tokens, for example. You could do that and do well from it, because you're getting money for free. You get at the end of it, you get your Gutenberg Bible back, and you paid a little bit in interest, but if you've done well in your alternate token that you bought, then you'll be quids in. And from the other perspective, if you are interested in the book token, don't want to pay 1,400 ADA for Gutenberg Bible to own yourself, you could actually go and borrow one. And so for paying 150 ADA over the duration of your loan, you could borrow a book token for 39 days, and in that, and for those 39 days, you will be eligible for the airdrops of the book token. And so that's an alternative way of actually engaging in a project airdrop without actually having to pay out, or you reduce your risk in that regard, in terms of the book token being worth more than the 150 ADA you're putting in. So that would be an innovative and interesting way to participate, and I thought you might like to know about. This is a good, solid project. Again, OGs in the space now have been around for a couple of years. Their smart contracts have proved robust and solid, same as all the other ones on Cardano. And they are active on Twitter. They're responding to some of my tweets this week, so they are out there. They're a good team. They are doxed as well, so you can chase them down if you think they've done you wrong. Yeah, do your due diligence before diving into anything. But yeah, they have this nice NFT lending borrowing platform. If you want to get hold of some ADA in return for your NFTs, or if you want to get hold of some NFTs in return for your ADA, Fluid Tokens is a great place to do it. So here's the team: Matteo, Raul, Alicia, Ulas, Henry, and Alberto. Cool. Great. So that is pretty much all the content I wanted to cover today. I did promise last week that I would do a giveaway for this OWL token, which I forgot to do last time. Now it did strike me that actually this is really only of interest to people who are delegators to the pool and have and will be holding a starter AA tokens. So I do want to restrict who I give that away to, but if that is you, then I will put a poll onto the Discord server this week. Add yourself to the poll, and then we'll do a lottery wheel next week to decide the winner. And if you win an OWL, then you'll get extra staking rights on your delegation. And I believe Dinesh has already got one of those, so you might discount yourself if you're feeling generous. But yeah, that's going to be a fun little thing to do. Of course, we've got existing other ISPO tokens being earned at the moment. So CNCT, we are looking at getting the Gimbal Labs distribution going again. You also got MAC tokens coming up, and Optim tokens coming up once I get the ones that I've vested into through activities. So I'll be doing release of the Mac tokens once the game launches. And they've just partnered with another chain and development game house, so they're making really good progress. I think they've got a playable demo now, cool too, which is great. And the Optim tokens, once the Optim bond finishes, then I'll be getting an allocation that I'm going to distribute out to you guys who are committed stakers. If you do want to take part in that drop from Fluid Pool, these are bonus tokens over and above ISPO ones, the Mac and the Optim. Then I would follow the instructions in my staking tutorial video right to the end, because that gives you clues on how to register with Discord to make yourself eligible, get the extra special stakers only role on Discord that will make you eligible for these airdrops. So yeah, do make that effort to go ahead and do that, and the video covers it all, which is on my
Jonathan, I do have Mac tokens,
So,
like I bought a while ago. So do you know when the game gonna start?
guys, if you are here and have questions, it's a great time to bring them to me.
So, Jonathan, can you hear me?
The channel to grab the
Jonathan, can you hear me?
tutorial video. So yeah, this is the staking tutorial video. And at the end of that video, you can register for bonus rewards. So make that effort, and it'll be worth a while.
Jonathan, can you hear me?
Good.
Jonathan?
So,
Hello, Jonathan.
Hey, you're done.
Sorry, I've been talking earlier.
I can't hear you.
You heard me. Can you hear me?
On with my sound again. Or am I still on? I think I'm still on. Why can't I hear you?
I can. Can you hear me though? Can you hear me? No.
Say something again.
I can hear you, but I didn't hear you can hear me.
No.
It's me or you?
Is it me? It was last time, wasn't it?
Yeah. I can hear you. I can hear you, but I didn't hear you can hear me.
Anything now, then?
Can you hear me? Jonathan, can you hear me?
No, I've gone radio silent. Can't hear anything. Try again.
Can you hear me?
No.
Can you hear me?
Oh well, that might.
I can hear you.
That might kill interaction today, which is a bit of a shame. I don't know what's gone wrong with Windows, but there we go. Sorry about that. You can type the question. I'll try and engage, and I might just end the recording at this point anyway. Keep the video short. Cool. Thanks, guys. See you all next time.